Hello and welcome to Wine Grants, unscripted chat about the Unfunded, which is the official podcast of the Unfunded List. And I'm Dave Moss, the founder of the list and the host of this podcast. Welcome. I am in a very small booth with Jonathan Beninson from House of Genius. Please say hello, Jonathan.
Hello.
Nice to have you here in a booth.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You had told me that the little lady prefers Barbarosa or something like that.
Something like that.
I hadn't heard of it. I went to the wine store and asked if they had Barbarosa, and they did not. But I was told that this is similar, so we're having it. The people who make this wine don't give me any money, so we're not going to say the name of the brand, but it's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get started a little bit before recording. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, I like to begin by reading my guest's bio out loud. And what I do is I Google your name and find the first available bio. And you really can't complain about that because you are in charge of your own Google presence. Wow. You're the one you clearly are the one who put this bio up, which I believe I found at Beninson.com or something of that sort.
Fair.
And one of the best parts of the podcast for me is to watch you recoil in terror as I read your entire bio out loud to you. And that's going to happen now.
Okay, I'm going to take my clothes off to maximize the recoiling.
Great. I believe that innovation driven by entrepreneurs is capable of solving all of the challenges that we face as humans and as part of the global ecosystem. As a result, my passion is to drive innovation around the world by building communities that encourage and support entrepreneurs. As for me, I am a serial entrepreneur, mentor, author, investor, and international speaker. I'm into social entrepreneurship and impact investing, which means I believe we can do well while doing good. My ventures and investments serve the global community while balancing investor returns. You may have read about my ventures in several publications internationally, including the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Barron's, and Business Weekly, bringing you the business of the week. I was
on a weekly basis.
Every week.
Yes.
This week's business, week by week.
Once every 7 days.
Every 7 days, we bring you the business of the week. Business Week. Sorry, we don't bring me down the Business Week rabbit hole. I won't spend an entire day tweeting at them.
Ooh.
What's the business this week?
That's 1/7.
Hey, Business Week.
That's 1/7 of their whole
Tell me
workflow.
Tell me this week's business.
Wow.
There's a lot. Also, there's a lot more to this bio. In my off time, I mentor youth, female, and minority entrepreneurs around the world. I also advise businesses and governmental organizations on how to create entrepreneurial ecosystems and ways to engage the millennial generation. I'm proud to have been named a Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts for my commitment to service through entrepreneurship. When I'm not working, you can find me behind a book or spending time with my wife and daughter. You might also find me eating street food on a sidewalk in Southeast Asia. Miscellaneous.
Yes.
I used to be an attorney, transactional business law and environmental law, but I stopped, mostly because I cannot be both an attorney and an optimist.
Fact.
I think that's probably true. I am an ex-junior Olympic fencer. Now, does that mean that you used to be a junior and are currently an Olympic fencer?
Ooh, you're going to have to check out the Wikipedia page on that.
All right. I once talked my way into a job as puppeteer at Jim Henson's Creature Shop.
True story.
Sure. That's, I think, that's how all puppeteers get jobs.
Mm-hmm.
By talking their way into it. How else would you determine a puppeteer's ability?
You have to move your hand at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen, speaking of puppetry, I saw a play called Hand to God at Studio Theater here in D.C.
No, I've not seen it.
Oh, man. I think they just started the 4th extended run for it.
Okay.
All the actors also have puppets. It's fantastic. It's one of the funniest plays I've ever seen.
No, I've never seen it. In fact, I've never even heard of it. But I did see Avenue Q.
Oh,
with
sure.
my mom, which, to the listeners who haven't seen Avenue Q, maybe don't see it with your mom.
I saw Hand to God with my mom.
Was there a graphic puppet sex scene?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it's far more graphic than Avenue Q.
Oh.
Considerably. Okay. It makes Avenue Q look like Sesame Street.
I think that's what it was supposed to look like.
Yeah, I mean, They actually all look a lot like Cecil. Like just if you just look at it, look and sound like it was that much more vulgar.
Well, I
is what
did
mean.
learn. I did learn a lot.
There was puppet, all sorts of different kinds of puppet sex.
Delightful.
Like a variety of. There's one scene where they just keep switching positions. It was really something.
Huh.
Sorry, I normally start the stopwatch before, so we'll start now. Welcome to the booth, Jonathan.
Thank you.
What I have not been able to admit until now is that I founded the Unfunded list, started doing a podcast, recorded 25 episodes, all with a long-term goal of getting you in here with a booth with me. So,
Wow.
mission accomplished.
Cheers.
Finally, happy to have you here.
That puts a lot of pressure on me to perform today.
Well, I'll tell you there are a few reasons, other than you being a generally delightful person.
Oh, stop. Shut
And
up,
the
you
cool experiences that you have in your bio, that I wanted to have you in the booth. In particular, I like your organization, House of Genius.
Thank you.
You guys provide feedback to folks, which is what we do at the Unfunded list. Also, that you were at the Clinton Global Initiative last week, which is an event I've never been able to attend. I go up to the UN General Assembly events. I know a lot of our listeners are generally up in New York for UNGA week and may now, in fact, be nursing some sort of ungover.
Oh. Snap. Oh.
Yes, that's the sort of...
Depending on how many people are listening to this, I may steal that and pretend I came up with it.
So I should mention that Anastasia Delaccio came up with that, or that's where I heard it anyway.
Oof. Yeah.
And if anybody knows an ungover,
Lord knows.
So I normally go to the Social Good Summit and a few other things up there for that. I was working on other things down here in DC, didn't able to attend. Never have I had the privilege of attending the Clinton Global Initiative. As I understand two things. You, I believe, led a panel discussion or something, and also that this will be the last one.
Yeah.
Whether or not the world ends in a few months.
Well, I mean, we are going to make America great again, I feel like, either way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I'm just trying to make this booth great again.
well,
And
it's a
as
small,
I
it's
already
a small
noted,
booth.
mission accomplished.
Hey, that. So, I went to CGI. I also went to do the UNGA thing. CGI was an interesting experience. Initially, we went, House of Genius went as a partner of the Clinton Foundation and of CGI. However, in light of this being the last CGI, there were a lot of last-minute changes made, and one of those last-minute changes was to switch up the format, which was originally going to be House of Genius sessions at CGI, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. And that became my team and I moderating tables over lunch to cover a number of issues. As it happens, we still ended up pulling off some House of Genius events, but that's the long tragic tale of how we got into the door without having to pay $20,000 a ticket.
That's how much tickets are.
That's the word on the street, and it's a very nice street. Very
And I imagine there are several participants that are contributing well beyond 20,000.
I would imagine. In fact, I met several of them.
And good for them.
Yep.
Where was it held? Is it one of the New York hotels or something?
Yeah, the Sheraton. I think.
The Sheraton.
The Sheraton.
That's nice. They got a nice bar.
They do. I didn't hit it, however.
As I understand at CGI, that bar, I think I've heard this before from other people, that bar is actually where you meet the bigwigs and such.
It very well could be. The bigwigs tended to be, in my experience, a few other places. At least that's where I found them.
I suppose everyone's a bigwig in some universe if they're at CGI, right?
I would think so. There were people there who were bigwigs, had a lot of money.
Like Bill Clinton?
Bill Clinton, I've heard of him.
He was the president.
Oh, Bill Clinton.
Yeah, and I think he is also involved in the event.
I think he's involved with the foundation as well. So there were some bigwigs there. There were a lot of people there representing organizations. There was a lot of fundraising going on there.
Active fundraising.
Active fundraising going on there.
And how does that happen in an event like that? If someone says, we're trying to raise this much money by this date, do you know anyone who can help? I mean, that's the ask I usually get.
Yeah, there was a bit of that, but it was a bit more high class, a little more pinky up. It was, this is the impact that we're having in the world. ... Right? There wasn't so much a direct ask. I don't know if that's part of the culture. At CGI.
Are you given, so sometimes at these things there are rules about solicitation.
There may very well be. I don't read the materials. What was clear was that there was a culture of not necessarily asking directly unless it was in a forum where you were expected or invited.
They have pitch sessions or things like that?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. It'd be weird if there was a no solicitation policy, but that's really funny. I should hold a pitch event where you're not, it's just the one rule is you can't ask for anything.
Yeah.
Pitch.
In general, I haven't gone to other CGIs before.
Was this was the only one?
Yeah, this was my
first and last.
First and only. My understanding was that this one was a little more subdued than some of the others have been. Maybe it's because it was the last. Maybe it's because of Hillary's.
There may be other things they don't want to draw attention from.
Yeah, there are a number of question marks around that. No need to postulate. But what is clear is that. According to people who've been there before, it was a little quieter than it had been in the past.
So talk to me about the. So why don't you? We can get two birds with one stone here. You tell me a little bit about what House of Genius is. I know, of course, I attended a session once, which I suppose means I'm not a genius. It's the.
Oh no, you are a genius.
I was one of the. I'm a genius.
You were one of the genii.
Cool.
You have genius to share.
So this is not going to give you a lot of credibility. No. But why don't you go ahead and tell us what you mean, what that means?
So House of Genius is an organization that brings together, at least initially when House of Genius started, would bring together entrepreneurs, for-profit, not-for-profit, of any size, from a startup through $1 billion company, to bring those entrepreneurs together with a diverse cross-section of their community, 15 to 20 people, small group, everyone from the stay-at-home dad to the CEO, scientist, journalist, teacher, investor, attorney, trying to get every voice into the room, and everyone comes in without business cards, without egos, on a first-name basis to help each entrepreneur in turn answer a question that they don't know how to answer or solve about their business. That's where House of Genius started 6-7 years ago. Since then, it's grown not only in terms of where it is in the world. We're now in a couple dozen countries and growing very quickly. We've also grown in the populations that we serve. So the ultimate goal is to bridge communities. And when we talk about helping entrepreneurs, we're not just helping entrepreneurs succeed or fail faster. We're helping the community understand that everyone has genius to share. Everyone has a horse in the race when it comes to supporting innovators and entrepreneurs, and everyone should be able to engage to help. Taking those values, we've started exploring new communities to support. So we are, as of this year and next year, supporting students in schools all across the socioeconomic scale, helping them to understand where they fit into the world of innovation, where they fit into the world in general. And they come together, they solve a problem, and then we connect them with adults in their community who don't just say, oh, that's a neat idea for a kid. They say, okay, let's workshop this idea. Let's get this to something that can actually happen. And on one hand, you've got the kids who are being seen, who are being heard. And on the other hand, you have the community seeing and hearing these kids. And as you slide down the socioeconomic scale, that starts to get much more attractive in terms of the impact that can have on society.
Absolutely.
We're doing similar work in prisons for inmates who've who have ideas,
Very
who want to
interesting,
come
of
out.
course.
We're working.
And we have just the numbers on how many prisoners we have, even if a very small percentage of them have ideas.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ideas there.
I mean, similar programs have taken recidivism from the highest class, which is 80% and above, down to 9% or lower. So massive impact here. We're working with Indigenous and First People communities. This is something that, if all goes well, we'll be working with the Obama Foundation to continue that work.
Cool.
And we're working with the State Department to use House of Genius as a tool for international diplomacy.
So eventually it could be the OGI. I would go to that. I'd drop the 20 grand to attend the
show-
OGI.
I mean,
I honestly, it depends on what it was, but I in terms of the situations in which I would purchase a $20,000 ticket, the inaugural Obama Global Initiative might be it.
I mean, you would be like the OGI OG.
We need to after this we will draft up a proposal for the foundation.
Wait, you can edit that. You can edit that OGI
Can you
OG out,
remove
right?
that? Yeah, is that something that people are going to... Nope. That's I've recorded that. People are going to know, 12 or 13 people are going to know that you said that. And one of them is my mother. Hi, Mom!
And also my mom. Hi, Mom.
I think she'll probably think it's funny. If
And
she knows,
depend-
assuming she knows what an OG is.
and depending on how long she listens to this, also my wife. Hi, honey. I love you.
Hardly anybody, we are well past, we're probably up near 15 minutes. Hardly anybody listens this long. So feel free to say whatever. This is where I start trying to give real advice, say useful things. So feel free to start, being smarter than you were in the first
to say
half.
something useful.
That was very interesting. And I think I think some of the 12 people who listen, probably should find out more about House of Genius. And we'll give them a link or something so they can conveniently do that. You were going to run sessions with CGI participants where they were giving feedback to folks, and that ended up becoming a shorter sessions. You had to abridge it.
Yeah, we ended up not bringing in the entrepreneurs, which was something that was going to happen. There were some phenomenal entrepreneurs from all different communities, including one who was a refugee, which was all very attractive in terms of the impact we could have. What we ended up doing instead was using the same format to just generally workshop solutions to broader questions around what we should do, for example, with refugees, what we should do around oceans, clean water, medical, vaccinations, that sort of thing.
Did you find it useful? I mean, it was different than how you normally do your program, right?
I always find it useful. The question is, did the participants find it useful? And the answer is they did. One of the conventions of House of Genius is that we don't, because everything is timed, we don't like it when people just say what someone else said just so that they can hear it said again in their own voice.
I also don't like it when people just repeat themselves when someone has just made that point.
It's funny. I also don't like that.
That's a good point, Jonathan. And I just to piggyback. One of my favorites is that when you just replace the fractions with percentages. Right? So if someone says 3/4, just 75%.
What are you, some kind of wizard doing math?
If you want to get invited to something like House of Genius, that's how you got to start. You got to learn these tricks.
So what we do is we say instead of that, just say +1. If someone said something
I did like that.
Just say +1. So we instituted a +1 policy, and that made you'd be amazed how much that speeds along what would otherwise be a very slow and plodding lunch conversation.
I did. That just gave me a thought, slightly off topic, but do you find that helps with a problem that a lot of folks are aware of, commonly known as mansplaining?
Oof, yes.
The +1 system.
This all but kills mansplaining.
Interesting.
Which is good because mansplaining is annoying. And really, that's not even
Actually, Jonathan,
and that's not even,
mansplaining serves a vital purpose.
well, when you put it that way.
Vats. Sorry. Sidney Blumenthal.
Oof.
Sorry.
Topical humor. You know,
Sorry.
the reality is mansplaining is annoying whether you stand up or sit down to pee. And the +1 serves two functions in my mind. One, it saves time. And two, I think it builds a little bit of camaraderie, right? Because if you
definitely did.
If you say something and someone else just says what you said, like, I don't know about you, but when someone does that to me, I just hate them a little more inside, right? There's a part of me that says, oh, you know what? If the ship is going down, you might get the last life preserver.
So to give a little bit of pushback, I had a friend from college, still a good friend of mine, lives in town, named John Solid, who I don't think listens, but if he does, hi, John.
Yeah.
And he like gives me a hard time for this sometimes. But so he has a habit of making comments that I find very funny. That the timing's bad and the group doesn't really hear it when he says it, right? So very many hundreds of times, John has said something that no one really like heard, and then I have repeated it with better comic timing and much louder, and everybody laughs.
You're just regifting.
Well, and so I feel I can see why John would get upset at me for that. I did almost fall down.
I saw
People at home can't hear that I almost fell down. It was an almost fall.
It's a very small.
I'm using a different chair than I normally use.
It's a very small chair that you're sitting on.
So yeah, no one if I hadn't repeated it louder and with better comic timing, that laugh wouldn't have happened.
What you're saying is if you hadn't repeated it louder and with better comic timing, it wouldn't have happened for anyone.
Right, but see, what you just did was not louder, nor did it have better comic timing.
No.
You did not add any value to my phrasing.
Maybe not for you, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, fair point.
So that is
his jokes would have been there. All of these jokes would have been lost to the wind.
That is a social good. What you're doing is increasing the world's happiness factor.
If you are using your louder and better timed voice to amplify someone else's, I think that's okay. And what I should be doing in that situation is John just said something very funny, or finding a way to get in the credit.
If you did that, John would never learn.
Right. And you know what? He has become louder.
So
exactly. He's quite loud now.
To all the dozen of you who are listening, I just pointed and winked to indicate my approval.
You're welcome, Solid.
So
he works for Comcast or some sort of terrible thing.
Suddenly,
it's not. It's like they're the association of which, the cable telecommunications association, something terrible,
like the iHeartRadio version of. So as it happens, the +1 does cut down on the repeater, but it also builds affinity, because that's a way for someone to say, hey, what you just said is awesome, and I recognize that, and let's move on.
It's neat. It's given me some actual thoughts about how we hand out our feedback. All of our evaluators. So one, I want to start connecting evaluators who are reading the same proposal, which is a big difference, I think, between the Unfunded list and your program.
Yeah.
Is while I do have evaluators reading the same proposal, they're not talking to each other about it. I think if I were to add that in, right, I'd be like, hey, you 6 have a month to read this proposal. Here's your email addresses, and if they, or maybe even facilitate a chat with them or something, I think we might end up starting to get more feedback. And then the other thing I was thinking about is when I read all the feedback that comes in from them, there is often repeated information, obviously repeated information, because they're currently not coordinating.
Right.
And I just sort of make sure I am repeating it in the feedback report so they know that multiple evaluators told them that. But I think I could be saving time and make my report shorter by maybe putting up front repeated themes or +1 themes, or come up with my own. I won't steal your term. Oh, you just gave me a glare.
No, you can.
Is +1 available for use, or is that a copyrighted House of Genius thing?
Trademark House of Genius, but it is something that I highly suggest using. What I wasn't giving you the stink eye. I was actually thinking about things that.
That's what you look like when you think.
Yeah,
that's why I had never seen it before. So
very few people have. It's something. It's something I usually do in a room that's darker and smaller than this one. But that's something we could talk about after this. I have some
That's very
thoughts
neat. No,
to
and I
share.
think down the road we could I think the folks that are appearing before your crowds probably have written proposals that could be evaluated and
I would hope
vice
so.
and vice versa. And I think that I've met a lot of folks that can write a grant proposal but would struggle to stand up in front of a crowd like that, and also folks that could stand up in a crowd like that, do great, but can't write their thoughts. And so I think that just in general, closing the feedback loop in philanthropy is dominates my mind lately.
Well, I'll tell you what dominates my mind almost all the time is that we've developed a very unhealthy way of engaging with entrepreneurs and really with innovators of any kind, right? And that's and evidence of that is the media around it, right? So, for example, we have Shark Tank, right, and The Apprentice, and all of these terrible shows that
I wouldn't put Shark Tank in the same category as The Apprentice.
Well,
I don't think it's a good representation of how entrepreneurship happens.
Hosts aside,
I suppose, who knows? O'Leary might run for president under the Mr. Universe or whatever, Mr. What's his stupid Mr. Wonderful persona?
I
One
mean,
is that can't be how that guy's not like that. He's playing a TV character.
I can't imagine that's a world that we live in. That said, all of these shows and even business plan competitions, in a way, treat entrepreneurs in a way that reminds me of how we would treat prisoners and animals in the Colosseum type days,
Or
right?
just in general as contestants.
Yeah,
they're doing this stuff because they want to solve a social problem, not because they want to compete for prizes.
Right. We're basically trotting them out for our amusement under,
And in my experience, a lot of these folks are the kind of folks that, back in school or whatever, didn't really go in for the let's all win trophies and compete on the football team type universe. And I think we sort of repeat that for these particularly high profile entrepreneurship contests or whatever. Not that recognizing entrepreneurs in public, or trying to have more substantive content around entrepreneurship during prime time is not the right direction, but they're not gladiators.
It's what we do with them, right? And entrepreneurs, in my experience, show up in all shapes and sizes, and the one thing that they have in common is that, is it true? Yeah, I think it's true that all of them are scared, right? All of them are trying to bring something into life. They're not sleeping at night. They probably have less money than they need in a lot of cases, and they're putting a lot on the line to do something that they believe in. And what doesn't feel good, as someone who's done it before and done it successfully, by the way, I'm not I'm not airing grievances here. What doesn't feel good is going out and pitching to a room full of people who are judging you in a competition type format, right? What would feel better is to go into a room of people and say, hey, let me be honest with you. This is really freaking hard, and I need help. And this is a room full of people who all have interesting ideas, an interesting way of looking at this. And if we could just pool our resources for 20 minutes, I would probably be a year ahead of where I am, in terms of answering these questions and moving ahead.
I think there are funders and investors that would be quite responsive to a pitch like that, but unfortunately, still others that would be extremely dismissive of something of that sort, and who in general do look at. I think you've given me a really interesting thought, that we do have kind of a whole market that turns social entrepreneurs into entertainment for us. And there's, it can be very entertaining. One, it can help us with that, when something horrible happens in the news, knowing that these heroes are out there. And this is, in fact, one of my favorite Mr. Rogers quotes. He did an episode about if you see bad news, something in the news, and you need to deal with that, look for the helpers.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. Like when a bad thing happened, and that's sort of what you were saying before. Look for the people who were there when it happened and who were ready to help. Yeah. And that's no matter how bad the tragedy, there were people trying to help. I think that's a really good way to keep your humanity, and it's also a good way to find an outlet to work with. see how they're helping, see how you can help the helpers or possibly become one of them. And I think, but that the whole market of turning helpers into entertainment is, I think that's problematic. One, it could cause the helpers to, and it often does, cause them to compete with each other. For instance, you and I are both providing feedback to folks. There's an alternate universe where, for instance, if we were, trying to fundraise from the same donor, like there's a donor out there who's interested in funding feedback systems, that it could cause the market could cause you and I to become direct competitors for funds. But that's not the feedback gap is our competitor. Not making you and I competitors is silly. One, because I will defeat you.
Obviously, just on beard density alone.
Any sort of beard contest is just not going to go your way, my friend. Oh, have you? It looks like
I always knew it, but I guess I had.
You've heard it.
Yeah.
It's a solid foundation. I
Thank
feel like
you.
you could grow up. Is it red?
It is red. I could grow it out. It's fiery red, unlike my head hair, which is
stopping
brown.
If you owned a pet lion, would you be shaving its mane?
Oof. Wow, you've just argued against manscaping in general.
Yeah.
Oof.
I don't know if you can see me right now, but we're not doing a lot of trimming.
As this is not, filmed in front of a live studio audience, it's fair to say that we are both naked.
Yeah. Well, this time of year, the ACA has a hard time catching up to the climate, so it is warm.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any closing remarks for the folks at home?
I do. There are a lot of things that go on in the world, right? People trying to support education, people trying to support jobs, food, water. Those are all wonderful things to do, and all of them matter. My plug here, for now and for always, is that none of that stuff matters. None of it matters at all without building communities, right? Without building the communities that care about and support each other, that care about and support entrepreneurs, that care about and support education, that care about and support women and equal rights for everyone. When we build those communities, we create a context for all the good that's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I could drop this microphone over here, but it looks very expensive.
Yeah, I'd rather you didn't. We have a very fancy case for it, but we like to keep it there on that shelf, precariously off of the edge.
I mean, the shelf doesn't even look that well attached to the wall.
It's not.
Is it like
it has actually fallen before?
I believe you.
No, we did build it. We built this ourselves. I didn't do a whole lot of the work, but a guy named Steve Suriel built this room.
Good work, Steve.
With his bear. And this actually, it's funny, he comes here often with his dog, and this rug used to be in their bedroom. So every time he comes, the dog comes right into here and lays down on the rug.
Ooh, you haven't taken a black light to this rug, have you?
No.
Maybe that's something we can do after we...
I think it might be a bad idea.
After we go off.
Well, it's a co-working space, and sometimes some of us work late.
Oof, no.
And on that note...
No more words.
As always, I want to thank our host, The Lookout DC, which is a beautiful co-working community for filmmakers located in the Adams Morgan neighborhood of Washington, D.C. I want to thank our host, Jonathan Beninson. I want to thank everybody